All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Planning and Zoning Commission, the local planning agency. This is the meeting September 14th, 2021. We'll call to order with I'll do the invocation, and then Member Williams, if I can get you to do the pledge, please. Everybody stand. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord God. Thank you for all the many blessings that you give us, Lord. Please give us the wisdom to help us out here with the city's needs. Help our first responders and all our people overseas. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, if we can get the roll call, please.
Chair Lomnick.
Here.
Vice Chair Mellon.
Here.
Member Kennedy.
Here.
Member Forges.
Here.
Member Williams.
Here.
Alternate Member Keller.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. All right, consent agenda. Can I get a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the last meeting on July 13th?
So moved to approve the minutes of the July 13th meeting.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Member Williams, a second by Member Forges to approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries. We have no old business. New business, Starbucks Ocoee. This is a substantial amendment to Lot 3 of the proposed Fountains West PUD. Mike Roomer.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Mike Roomer, Development Services Director. And this is a plan unit development, Fountains West. It's up on the northeast corner of Ocoee Apopka Road and West Road. The Fountains West PUD was an 8-lot planning unit development, which had the public shopping center as the anchor, and it had, this would be Lot 1, Lot 2, Lot 3, and we have out parcels. And then there was this other parcel that was Lot 8, which was owned by a different entity. They joined in together. It was originally owned by a church. It has since then sold and been developed partially. And so this is the location. The specific Lot 3 has a old Fifth Third Bank on it right now. So the way it developed out was there were a bank on Lot 1, a bank on Lot 3, the public shopping center, and then came along the Wendy's and the Taco Bell, and then Lot 8 sold from the church and is developed as a self-storage. Has an approval for a daycare here that's gone away. Not sure how it's all going to develop out from there. And this is the aerial. And what's interesting, during the approval for the Fountains West plan unit development, it's commercial land use PUD. That's what that's showing, a commercial land use. You do have the Vineyard subdivision, and you have the Weston Bay townhomes on the west side of Ocoee Apopka Road. The south side of West Road is starting to develop. We have a Lady Bird Academy, and we have some other parcels that are, most of them have been annexed. One was just recently annexed in the city, and we're looking at development opportunities there. And so when this Fountains West subdivision, when the zoning ordinance was approved and the land use plan was approved, it initially had that lots 3, 4, 5, and 3, 4, and 5 could have restaurants. They call it drive-in restaurants, and it's kind of hard to go back. We call it a drive-in restaurant. Is that like a Sonic or a Whataburger? Or then it says, they talk in the minutes, drive-throughs, restaurants with drive-throughs. And we actually had, and so in Lot 1 and 2, a drive-in restaurant was not permitted. And shortly after just a side story, after the plan unit development was approved, McDonald's came in to go on Lot 2 and was denied that change, and then they located down the road. But going back to the approval for the plan unit development, originally Lot 3 was included as having a drive-in restaurant or a drive-through restaurant. And it was during the negotiations, the discussion on the development agreement that you'll see here in the minutes. You'll see item C, development agreement. This is where the discussion, they ended up taking out and changing their mind on Lot 3, saying that one's not going to have a drive-through now. So they had to go back through and handwrite in, change in and type in this change to say Lot 3 will not have a drive-in restaurant. And in the wording here, it says a drive-in restaurant. And when you read language, they talk about drive-through, drive-in, and so lot 1, 2, and 3 could not have what we say is a restaurant with a drive-through.
Okay.
The
Can I give a reason?
I couldn't tell, you know, the minutes are
Yeah.
not verbatim. I remember when I first came in 2006, the McDonald's was discussed, and there were some people that came out from the vineyards that were, the distance from the call box was 200 feet. They didn't like that aspect. And lot 2, so that's part of, it's hard to tell exactly why it was denied for a reason, but that, in the minutes. And so
Joel, do you have some?
what's proposed today
Oh,
is, and I didn't put the site plan on here, you have the site plan in your packet, but there is a proposal to have a Starbucks with what they have as their drive-through. And looking at this today, compared to 2006 and 2007, I'm looking at it saying there's a lot that has changed with this area, and there's a lot that has changed with regards to development and the amount of rooftops. And actually, if you Google fast casual, Starbucks is one of the restaurants. Starbucks, PDQ, Panera. It's not listed as a QSR, quick serve restaurant. So Starbucks or this other use other than your normal quick serve restaurant, Wendy's, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, there's an opportunity to get one of those, which is a national tenant. Perhaps that this lot being on the corner, being a little bit more out there in the intersection of two arterial roads, it's worth taking a look at. And I didn't see a reason to deny it, especially when I look back, and initially staff was like, lot 3 can have one. It wasn't during a discussion among the city commission members that they said we didn't want to provide that for lot 3, and it changed after the PD land use was approved and during the development agreement. So you have in your packet a Starbucks. It's a national user. It's a little bit different. It's obviously, you know what the difference between a Starbucks and a quick serve restaurant is. It's one thing, it's one of the in things to have near your house. And so let's bring it forward. Staff, again, saw no reason to deny. So what we're changing is, we're not changing the PD. It's gonna fit on the lot just as the Fifth Third did. It's gonna be a user with a drive-through. Now,
Are
the
they gonna
bank had a
demolish?
drive-through, right? But it's a little bit different setup in that interaction, and I will give that, so.
Are they
we
gonna
are
demolish the
supporting-
Fifth Third?
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
I was wondering, because that's a big building for a Starbucks.
Is the Wendy's that's directly across the street from this, or like really
The
close proximity?
Wendy's is.
Be on the same side of the road.
The Wendy's is over here on these lots, which were permitted to have, you have the Taco Bell and you have a Wendy's. These lots front Ocoee, Apopka.
Okay.
If you recall, the fire, the substation was over here, and yes, so,
And on that map, where's the proposed Starbucks?
right in the white. Where the existing, can you see, I'll outline it, can you see it right here?
Okay,
It's an existing unused Fifth Third bank.
okay, and then the Wendy's does have a drive-through.
The Wendy's and the Taco Bell, which are located in this area, they do have, yes.
And the McDonald's
And-
across the street and the
and the-
Dunkin'
Yeah,
Donuts
they're-
The
across
Taco
the street
Bell's
from
is
that.
actually set up, we made the building closer, but the drive-through is on West Road. Like, you have the drive-through, the landscape buffer drive-through, then the building. So, it's an amendment to the PD for Lot 3 specific, and in my recommendation, I'm saying, let's tie it to this Starbucks and this user. If the Starbucks falls through and Hugh Magoo's wants to come in, we can look at it, or another user. Maybe it's a Bojangles. They would have to come back through. We're not necessarily saying all restaurants with drive-throughs. Let's tie it to this, because it's a PD, let's tie it
Yep.
to this user. And if anybody else wants to come, they can come in and make their case. So, with
Great.
that, and the engineer of record for this project is in the attendance.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for staff?
Yeah, I'll make a couple of comments, if I can there.
Yep.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, back there, the reason that it was changed, because I sat on the commission back there when it was changed. I was one of the commissioners that voted to change it. The reason it was changed was that it was 1, 2, and 3 were all considered too close to the homes. And what we didn't want was a late night drive-through, because McDonald's could be open till 11 or longer. So we did not want a drive-through that was open that late with families right across the street from it. So that was the reason it was turned down. It was added to 1 and 2. It was just because of how close that was and what type it was, in that when you look at the service ones, such as McDonald's and Burger King and Bojangles and all that, because of how late they could be open, they didn't want the noise distracting families who were trying to go to sleep, and people gather, and also anybody who's going to be gathering there to eat outside and all that. So with a Starbucks, you're talking about a much earlier closing at night. But the actual reason that it was done was because of how close it was and how late they would be open. So I would agree with staff as if we tied it to the Starbucks, so that you wouldn't run into the same situation where, okay, yeah, it fell through for there, but let's put a Burger King there. That wasn't what anybody wanted at the time, and I still can't see where the residents would want something like that.
Thank you, Joel. At this time, I'm going to open it up to the public hearing. Is there anybody who'd like to speak on this matter?
Good evening, Bob Ziegenfuss, Z Development Services, 708 East Colonial Drive in Orlando. As Mike mentioned, I am the engineer of record. Has been retained by the gentleman that's under contract to purchase this property, and he does develop Starbucks. We've done quite a few with him. So I wanted to just give a few pieces of information here. A lot of it's kind of already been discussed a little bit. It's one thing we've talked about at a lot of public hearings with Starbucks. Are they really considered a fast food restaurant? So many codes are written towards that specificity of a fast food restaurant, and the idea of the typical McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, the ones we've known for years, right? That's a discussion to be had in and of itself, and I think it alludes to what Mr. Keller was saying about the hours of operation. That does function a lot differently. So we've discussed that in a lot of different public hearing settings, is how this is compared to being, I guess, that more obtrusive use, if you want to call it that, of a fast food restaurant, and those operating hours have a lot to do with that. So of course, we look at the fact that we've got a drive-through bank there today that has 4 drive-through lanes, and we're going to have 2. And that 2 drive-through lane, it's not 2 drive-through lanes, it's 2 drive-through ordering points, very similar to what everybody's probably seen at a Chick-fil-A these days. That, we do quite a bit of fast food work in our office. You're seeing every single fast food brand turning single drive-throughs into double drive-throughs now. They're following that Chick-fil-A model a la COVID. You have the fact that everybody's pushing everything through the drive-through. We have got some fast food restaurants that are typical. KFC, for instance, their new prototype has 12 seats in it, 12. And they're lined up bench seating like you'd see in a Chipotle, where you look out the front window and it's just a small counter that you're sitting at a bar stool looking out the front window, and there's 12 seats in it because double drive-through ordering station. So what that does is it helps decrease and that's the reason why Chick-fil-A did it, because they were having those monstrous problems with wrapping around their building. Now they're still doing it even with the double. So you're seeing them even consider triple, believe it or not. And keeping that straight will be a difficult thing, I'm sure. So that helps to reduce the stacking needs on site. I know that Mike mentioned that you have your site plan in your packet, so you can take a look at that and see the way we've got this designed. The typical thing that you see with drive-through restaurants being an issue is that stacking problem, and the possibility of it stacking so far that it actually gets off the project site. You'll never see that on this one. We have got an extreme amount of stacking on there, so that takes care of that issue. Mike mentioned the changes to the area with the Wendy's and the Taco Bell and the McDonald's. I think the development trends in the area would lend itself to allowing the use. And of course, I'm here to answer any questions that you might have of me this evening as well.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for this gentleman?
I've designed Starbucks, in Texas. Is this like a micro, I mean, I don't have that in my packet, the map. Mr. Wilmer, can you pull that up by chance? I mean, you have a file?
We'll get it for you.
I guess my question is, was this a micro like Starbucks, or is it a full service, full size?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the step back there. It's gonna be it's their brand new prototype that we've been putting on sites, and so it will be a full service. This is going to be their first double ordering station in the state of Florida. I just found that out the other day. As a matter of fact, that was kind of cool that we'll be working on the first one, should we get approved, of course. We'll be working on the first one they're doing. So we're doing it with Arby's, we're doing it with Taco Bell, we're doing it with Popeyes. Everybody's going to double ordering stations. And a lot of them are going away from the model of speaker boards where you order it from this and show up to pick it up, which Starbucks is also doing through their drive-thrus as well, which is another thing that helps push them through faster.
Cool. Anybody else have any other questions for this gentleman? All right, we're going to close the public comment and close the public hearing. We're gonna need one motion for this, so I need a motion to approve the substantial amendment to the proposed Fountains West PUD and LUP project RZ 210726 and to attach this specifically to Starbucks.
I'll make that motion to recommend approval of the substantial amendment to Lot 3 of the Fountains West, project number RZ 210726.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
With the amendment to add to allow Starbucks restaurant with a drive-through, so that's in the record. So,
There, that's what I said.
is that okay?
That's a substantial amendment.
Yeah, I know, but I thought that we were, well, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
The reason why I want to make sure that that's in the actual motion is I thought that the idea was to tie it specifically to a Starbucks. If we don't put that in there.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I
You
said
did?
to
Oh, okay.
specifically for Starbucks. Yep.
Okay, I'm
With
sorry.
a, with a
All good.
drive-through.
So I second, I apologize. I
Thank
didn't
you.
hear you.
We have a motion to approve, and we have by Vice Chair Mellon and a second by Member Williams. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Carries. Congratulations. All right. Number 2, Araya office. This is a small-scale comprehensive plan
Yeah.
feature use plan amendment.
Mr. Chairman?
CPA.
I threw you a wrinkle and I said we were gonna move C back, but if
Right.
we can go ahead and move C ahead, I believe everyone in the audience is here to hear that one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we're gonna go to C, which is the Ocoee Village Franklin Street. This is a large-scale preliminary site plan, LS 2021006, Mike Rumor.
Yes, the Ocoee Village project has been around for a couple of years. They've had, it's located on the north side of Franklin Street, just east of the 429. And the property if I can show you in the aerial, it's vacant, it's adjacent to the 429. It has existing facilities on the east side, vacant on the south side of Franklin. Just a little background on some changes which are happening in the area. A couple of things. The 429 Expressway Authority is out to bid on plans which will move this exit ramp for Plant Street that's off this page where you kind of have to veer with trips coming on from State Road 50. They're going to move that, and it's going to mirror what you see on the west side. So the exit ramp will start here, and you'll loop around, and then you'll be facing south on Franklin Street at the end of this project, as well as they're expanding the amount of lanes on the 429. That is one improvement that you are going to see made to the area. The second is a project from the DOT to widen or work on Silver Star. As you know, from just west of Clark to the 429, Silver Star is a 2-lane road. And the city under a grant from MetroPlan, involved DOT, MetroPlan, and some stakeholders. We did a corridor study on that alignment of Silver Star from State Road 429 to Bluford Avenue, which is segment A of the project. Segment B of the ultimate Silver Star is from Bluford to Clark. And if you've gone east of Clark, you see Silver Star is 4-lane much of the way. And so that project and that corridor study came out with a recommended pattern of Silver Star. It's not funded. It needs, what this corridor study did, it allowed the state to not have to do a PD&E on the full corridor. They have to do some targeted PD&E studies and finish the design and then get it funded for construction. As part of this new exit ramp, the Expressway Authority is going to build that road section from the exit ramp just short of Bonus Road. So it's going to build a 4-lane divided segment from 429 to Bonus. And that's part of what the corridor study said and showed that was going to happen. And that is it for sort of the new items for background content. The property has this zoning, commercial zoning, and it's being proposed for, it's really a revision to a large-scale project. That was approved in 2017. It had mixed use of commercial and offices. It had 4 buildings, 2 stories, and then the request is to revise from 4 2-story buildings to 2 buildings. You'll see under the elevation rendering, they're the tilt wall design. There's parking all the way around, and it allows for an element of 2-story within that box. It's not all going to be 2-story. And so it sort of changes. This is the originally approved plan from Ocoee Village. And you had 2 buildings up on facing Franklin and 2 buildings in the back. This site plan was in approval when we were just starting our 429 character area, public input, and all of that process. So this came before that. And so they had an entrance point in the middle of the property, and then DOT is having them add another entrance on this eastern end. There's an alleyway, and I'll show that in the revised plan. This project had some difficulty. The property had almost full, limited access right-of-way from the expressway in front of it. But they did not do a total taking of the land. So the applicant was able to get this site plan approved, then he had to go through a rigorous process with not only DOT for the driveway location, but also the Expressway Authority, because they actually owned a strip of land between the right-of-way and his property. It involved drainage easements and a lot of work, and in that, they said, well, let's add another entrance point on this alleyway. And so this is the original plan. And they started some of the work. They had to take out some, in this corner, there was an old gas station, they had to remediate some soil, and they had to go through this long process with DOT and the Expressway Authority. In that, and admittedly, I told the applicant this isn't the best plan. He's revised, he's seen this plan doesn't work best for his marketing ability, and he's come up with this new plan where we have 2 buildings. The access point in the middle stays, and then there's this newer access on the eastern side with this alleyway. And this is the product you get with this type of a building. And I do want to show you there's parking, there's no loading zones. It can never be flex office. It is office with maybe some retail user, maybe a furniture store goes in there, but it is full office. And we're getting a lot better presence and product in this entryway to the city of Ocoee and into the character area. And so what we're revising today is, again, these plans. The access point stays the same. The buffers different setbacks, it's just different building type, better building type involved there. So, the engineer is here, if we have any questions. And we are recommending approval of this, revision to the large-scale preliminary site plan.
Mike,
Yes.
on this 429 overlay and in that character area, does it not call for any, part of that, is there no restaurants? I mean, is that character area in the 429 overlay, is it more for this retail mixed use deal and not really for restaurants or anything like that?
No, as a matter of fact, and I can show you in another meeting, with work involved with this work to get the off-ramp, and we have, as part of our character area, we have a 12-foot trail going on the south side of this property. We obtained the right-of-way from this property owner to facilitate the Expressway Authority's work, and we got additional right-of-way for the 12-foot trail. So the city has paid for right-of-way for a trail, and we have the money in escrow. CSX, the Expressway Authority, is gonna build that 12-foot trail, and we're gonna reimburse them. In order to get all that done, we worked with the property owner here, because he was looking at one sole entrance in the middle, which not even the middle, which lined up with this project. But we've been working to get an entrance point directly across from this new exit ramp, just like you have over here. And again, there's limited access right away, so what that means is they don't want any way for people to enter onto their facility another route, so they do it limited access. And we're going through that process, but we have helped them do a master plan. We really want standalone restaurants.
Yeah.
But restaurants, retail, office, in the character area with high-density living in a smaller footprint, not a big 300-unit apartment, 180, 150, smaller unit with mixed use, maybe some with retail underneath it. But yes, we are trying to get restaurants in any way, shape, or form.
Great. All right. Any other questions for Mike before we open it up?
Yes. I noticed in the, one that was approved previously, was that a retention pond in the middle of it?
Yes, so it went from a retention pond in the middle with the buildings kind of overlooking that to what you see now, the retentions in the back, and these buildings will have a bigger presence.
Okay, so the retention pond now is gonna utilize the existing retention pond that's already back there?
No, this was a proposed retention pond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right,
this
so
was a
where's that
proposed-
gonna drain to? Because that's an awful lot of concrete and,
Yeah, it's still the same amount of impervious, you're just seeing it a different way, but we can have the engineer speak to that.
All right, at this time, we're gonna open up to the public hearing. If there's anybody that would like to speak on this matter? You're up.
I'm sorry, I thought you were
No.
waiting for a little. I'm Brian Denham with Denham Engineering. Address is 7602 Fiquette Road, Windermere, Florida. I think I got it right. I just moved there not too long ago. I'm the engineer for the project. I've done a handful of projects with the city of Ocoee in the last couple of years. I've done this one, Ocoee Medical on the south side of the hospital, and Lake Meadow Landings, which is David Weekly Homes' townhome project off of Clark Road. And the staff, we love the staff. They've been really good to us. Sometimes they beat me up pretty well, but we still love them. And this is the second go-around on this project. To answer your question.
I see it now.
Oh, okay. So what we've done here is, one of the effects of our changes is we've pulled the big buildings away from the residents in the rear. So if you compare it to the previous plan, it's probably about 80 to 100 feet further away on that northwest side. Thank you, Mike. And then on the east side, you can see we really pulled it down, and we put a nice retention area between us and the residents to the north. The discharge point that we're going to have, we also have underground exfiltration. So it's not just the wet pond; it's also underground that's treating that stormwater. So there's a whole lot more volume than what you see from an aerial. Our discharge point will be to the northeast over there to a wetland that's between the residence and that cell tower that's over there on the northeast corner. So we got a whole lot of storm drainage. And if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, I do have a question. Can you explain, I'm not quite clear on the alleyway that, is it DOT required from you on the,
Okay, sure. You may be talking about the limited access?
Yes.
Yes. So what the Expressway Authority in this case had was basically a little strip of land that says you can't cross this line, because they didn't want us to have an entrance right next to the on-ramp for 429 going north. So they say you
Okay,
got
now.
limited access to a certain point. So our driveway is as far west as they would let us do it. And so we worked with Expressway Authority, had to go before their board, as well as DOT to negotiate our access points. So DOT wanted us to plan for the future build-out of this State Road 438. So they have a middle access point, and they had us put an access on the far east, because eventually that middle access point is not going to be full open right away, full access median. You can't just go anywhere. They're going to make you do a directional left either way. So when you're coming out of our project, you won't be able to turn left. So what they said was, in order to get that movement towards the city of Ocoee, you use the southeast exit point. You'll go and you'll make a U-turn in front of the project. So they made us design it for future, to where it's all going to be done by DOT.
okay, thank you. That makes it much more clear for me. Thank you.
Okay, I thought I made it more confusing.
No,
so-
no, no,
all
you
right.
didn't. I do understand.
Oh, that alley, okay. So there's an alley on the east side of the property that gives access to the multiple different commercial users to the east of us.
Yeah, you answered my question. I
that'll
was
say that,
talking
okay.
about the limited access. I said alleyway, but I meant the limited
Okay.
access.
I had to learn the term limited access on this project, so that's okay.
Yeah.
It was new to me.
All right, anybody else?
Brian, is there potential for a third building on that site?
No, sir, because we're parked out on maximum. We try to keep, I believe, a parking ratio of 5 to 1. So 5 spaces per every 1,000 square feet of building area. And if I was to add more square footage, I just don't have room for parking.
It just seems there's a lot of parking
Yeah, so I think on there,
in that footprint.
Well, those are some big old buildings.
parking tax,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. I got my progressives on, so I think I can read it. It's, okay, so one space, yeah, well, we meet code. So on this one is, it's actually less than 1 per 5,000. Code, I believe it's like 1 per 300 to 1 per 200, depending on if you're considered office or retail. So 1 per 200 is like 5 1,000, and 1 per 300 is like 3 per 1,000. Mhm.
Good. Anybody else? Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak on this in the public? Come on up, you're the next contestant. If you have a speaker, we need a speaker form. Problem. Just state your name and address if you would.
Certainly. My name is Joe Burns. Residential address or business address?
Whatever makes you feel.
Okay, business address is 568 Bonus Avenue. So we are my wife and I are the property owners for a warehouse on the, I guess, the northeast corner to the east of the northeast corner of this property. I guess I have 2 questions really. The first is about the drainage. That corner of Silver Star where it meets Bonus Avenue floods every time it rains. There's just standing water there all the time. The road is in horrible condition, and I understand that that there's a long-term plan to tidy up that whole corridor. So I'm just a little nervous about the effect of the building on the poor drainage that is already in that area. And my second question is about the exit on the alleyway on the southeast corner. So what we're saying is cars using that exit are likely traveling towards Ocoee. That's in a very short distance to Bonus Avenue, which is already a road where a lot of cars are lining up there to turn right to get onto Plant Street to head into Winter Gardens. So with those two roads in such close proximity to each other, just nervous about the effects on traffic in that area. That's pretty much all I had to say.
That site's all self-contained, right?
Yeah, and he's a businessman, Windermere Pools.
Sure.
They do great business, and they have a lot of employees in the city of Ocoee. I see him at the
Racetrack?
at breakfast time. You guys have a favorite place. So, yes, very good question and comment. So obviously, for us and for the engineer, he's gonna tell you everything drains this way. It actually, as Brian said, there was an outfall, so he's not gonna put any more water into that outfall than what presently goes there, but everything drains to that direction. So there's this bonus in Silver Star, this will not provide any negative effect. His drainage in his new plan is all of this in the rear. So everything's gonna bring it from back to front. And he's also taking, and you can explain the drainage easement, there's also a ditch, there's a drainage that goes through the property that he has to maintain. It's from the state. So he's got stringent state drainage requirements and St. John's and City of Ocoee.
Meet the 100-year, all that good stuff.
Well, I can explain. So, Mr. Rumor's correct that, that there's a ditch across the road that takes drainage from the south side, and it's through a culvert underneath the road, and then it's a ditch on through our property too, kind of heading off in the middle and to the right. And what we're doing is we're piping that around the site, so it doesn't mix with our stormwater and so it doesn't back up anything. And we're giving it pipes that are actually bigger than what the ditch cross-section is. The drainage that we're treating, so in all these developments, we have to discharge less in many different storms than what it did before development. So even though we put more asphalt on there, we're holding a whole bunch of water in the underground that'll drain down through the soil and into the wet pond that only when it gets to a certain stage will go over. Let me see, DOT, since we're not draining the DOT, there's a drainage exemption permit for DOT. And then, so our storms, I believe, are just the 25, 24. So the 100-year. So the 100 years usually required if our water can't go anywhere, if we're in a closed basin. If we discharge to our neighbor, and our neighbor has a closed basin, then you do a 2596. But only 100-year typically if you have nowhere to go with it. So 25, 24, if you discharge and eventually goes to the Atlantic Ocean, and that's what we treat.
Cool.
Oh, and the road, the access point. He makes a good point on the access point. So that southeast access point that we have now, when DOT eventually, and I saw it recently, when they eventually do the directional lefts in front of us so we can't go from the middle of the entrance, middle of the site and turn left, that southeast exit will, if you want to go to Ocoee, you'll turn right to go towards 429 and you'll do a U-turn in front of our site. So I think when they do the build out of the main street, I think that's just going to be a right in, right out of that intersection, isn't it? At the right turn here?
Yeah, these will all be right.
Yeah, so they won't be able to go left towards Bonus at that southeast corner. You can only go left towards Bonus if from the center of the site before they build out the road.
Yeah.
And once they build it out, you can't take a left from the southeast corner.
Mike, once they do that realignment anyway, won't that change a lot of that bonus traffic anyway?
Yes, that's gonna be happening with this work that CFX is
Yeah.
doing,
there a
Expressway
timeframe on that?
Authority.
Is there a time frame on that?
It's
That
out to
road
bid
is a
right
wreck.
now. It's out to bid right now. So, it's fully funded
It's been
by
funded for a long time.
Expressway, so, yes.
Cool, okay, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. Is there any questions up here that we have left? Okay, if not,
Mr. Chair,
You have
before you-
another member of the
before you
audience.
close
that
it,
wants to
you
speak.
got one more
Oh, I'm
person
sorry.
who wants to speak.
come on up.
Hi, Linda Miller, 435 West Franklin Street in Ocoee, Glenn's Paint and Body Shop. We've been there almost 50 years in just a few months. My question would probably be directed to the engineer. We have entrance and exit on 435 for the body shop. We do have access to our mini storage warehouse units through the Ocoee granted us access to our mini storage warehouse units that are located on the west side and the north side of our shop property. My question is, in listening to the studies for the changes of the roadway with the CSX plan and the Expressway Authority, I'm not really sure if I understand correctly, but what would be the impact of our entrance and exit to our business on Franklin Street? It was once discussed that possibly one of the entrances would be shut off. That would make a substantial impact for our business because we have deliveries for our products and supplies with large trucks coming in. So my question would be, what will be the impact of it?
Mike?
You're up.
So if you've, I'm not zoomed in close enough, but they've got a really long, it's like a circular drive on Franklin Street. I don't have the plan in front of me where I can pull up on the Silver Star and also what the Expressway Authority is going to be building for there, so I don't recall what's gonna happen right in front of their entrance, but the DOT is requiring this entrance point, which is in the alleyway. It's not a preference, it's a requirement from the state, and it's the state's road. Their entranceway is you have, isn't it open, it's opened all along here, you can kind of see it's shaded. So it's open here, and then there's another entrance here, right here. And so what the road work in front of Glenn's Paint and Body, I don't recall. I know what CSX is doing is coming short, it's actually tapering back right about in front of Glenn's. With regards to the Silver Star Road corridor, there's going to be a roundabout at Bonus. And so it'll be the access point on Franklin, you will not be able to make a left out because there's going to be the roundabout.
I'm sorry, a bonus in Franklin, or?
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
From the Silver Star line, yeah.
Yes. So the way the traffic will work is, show it on the aerial here. So traffic on Franklin will come in and there'll be a roundabout here. And the trucks, the multimodal, the intermodal, the trips that want to take Silver Star from east to west will by signage come through here, go up here, and go this way.
Yeah, that's cool.
The Franklin will, as you get to McGuire, it'll prohibit left turns. That's one of the issues with the intersection. You can go through the intersection. We're gonna have we have the plans and we're funded for this Taylor Street. We're gonna have a roundabout. You can come up here and get back on. So either Silver Star, you go through the roundabout. That takes a truck. It's a DOT roundabout. And it comes this way and you go on Silver Star. And if you don't make that, you come through to this roundabout up, forget the name of the road real quick, right there, Lyle Street or Lee or something, and get there. And so what that does is trips, in the study, they use Bluetooth in this corridor study, really fascinating. They had Bluetooth stations all around, and if your Bluetooth was on your phone, it pinged here, pinged there. Most of the trips and most of the growth in the trips is north and south. And so that takes out the left turn, so it takes the left turn away from here. These trips have to go this way,
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
and it takes the left turn here. So there's no cars across the intersection. And the Millers were a part of that study and have the plans, but I don't recall what changes in front of yours. It's gonna be,
Well, the
With-
east entrance to our shop was going to be initially cut off due to the roundabout
right.
and the road improvement on Bonus. And so when I mentioned that the last time I was in a meeting with Metro, he
Yeah, so what's gonna happen is, in the after effect, you can see this. It's a right in, right out. They're gonna have a meeting here, so you can make a left in here, and you can make a left in here. What's gonna happen is, when you come out of his site, so his site has full access right now, and it's gonna be shut off. So what you do is you'll either, if you wanna go to Ocoee, if you wanna go to the 429, you'll just come out here and head west. If you wanna head back east, you'll come out here, and you'll make a U-turn. That's what,
Well, when vehicles come out of our driveway, will they have, which way will they have to go?
they will have to go east and do a U-turn.
Okay. Okay.
So but you can drive around and exit probably another part on Bonus. So,
I just needed to
Yes.
get that clear in my
Yes.
mind, what
Okay.
traffic.
And
flows
I'll,
that
you know,
way.
I'll discuss with, call you and Glenn again.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Can I offer something? Ms. Miller, correct? I'd like to offer something that, on our southeast driveway, we could ask DOT if they would let us do a flush ribbon curb, so if she wanted to cross-connect to that driveway, that would help them to get in and out, if that's okay.
We're
With
just
you.
thinking of when it was proposed about the eastern driveway, the east driveway being shut off, trucks would not be able to come into our driveway because the driveway isn't large enough for them to turn around and go back out. They have to have it in and out.
Right. Well, I think this would help you either have an additional out or an additional in, and then you can do that loop, if that's okay with you.
Okay, as long as we can get in and out.
Sure, sure. Okay.
And the access for the alleyway back to the warehouse units, how is that going to be affected?
So there's, if you can see it right here, there's your driveway, there's a ditch,
Right.
and there's your access back here. So if you wanted to, we could, if DOT is okay with it, we can put a little stub here over, in the culvert over it, so you can still get over that ditch and go back in the alley.
Because we have a road, a driveway that is on the east side of the ditch that accesses the.
Right, that's right. Okay. We'd be happy to make those curb cuts.
Great.
If DOT's okay with it, you never know what they like or don't like sometimes.
Yeah, we'll let you guys figure that out with DOT. Cool, thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wants to speak on behalf of the public? Okay, I'm absolutely gonna close the public hearing this time. All right, now that we've closed the public comment, a motion is necessary. I need a motion to recommend the,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
I
sir,
have a quick question for Mr. Mike.
please.
Mr. Mike, with this size of the project and of course the realignment of the 429, which is going to be done first? The buildings or the 429 realignment?
The engineer has a final site plan, so he just has to tweak some of the final site plan. You have an active DOT permit, you have an active St. John's permit, so it's just a
Okay.
minor, it's showing that everything, he's not exceeding impervious.
Got it.
All the lines are still the same, so seeing how CFX is going to bid, and their project is from 50 all the way up to West Road.
Okay.
So this will be in first,
Bottom line is the building can function prior to the realignment
yes.
and not having too much impact.
The layout that Mr. Rumor has right now is the pre-realignment layout.
Okay.
But it was designed to be also good for the post-realignment. That's why we had that southeast entrance.
Okay.
Cool. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I need a motion to recommend the approval for the preliminary site plan for project LS 2021001, and I'm also gonna add a caveat that the engineer and owner work with, the.
Miller's
the-
Paint and Body.
Yes, what Mike said on entrances and exits with DOT as they can.
So, Mr. Chair, I move, as stated by the chair, that we recommend approval of the preliminary large-scale site plan, project number LS 2021-006 for Ocoee Village, with the caveat that they work with the adjacent or owners regarding access
And DOT.
and DOT.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I have a motion by Member Williams and a second by Chair Mellon. Member Forges, do you have a comment you'd like to make before we vote?
I do. I just want to make sure that this project is being moved forward for approval. However, what the civil engineer is suggesting should not be a condition.
Yeah, I said
for
if,
final- okay.
if could happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Didn't
Just
make it
wanna
a
make sure that
mandatory thing.
Because obviously, if he can't do it,
Yep.
that his project still move forward. So
I'll make sure they're okay.
it's a good neighboring effort you're doing, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Not, okay, just want to make
If
sure.
possible was the.
If possible, okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you everybody very much.
All right, we're going back to B, to the Araya office. I think I'm saying that right. This is a small-scale comprehensive plan future land use map amendment, CPA 2021-003, and this is gonna be zoning manager Whitfield.
And, Mr. Chairman, I just want to, again, introduce zoning manager Notch Whitfield, that comes to the city of Ocoee with a number of years of experience, not only with Orange County, good number of years with Orange County, but also the city of Oviedo, so she has a city background. But she also worked for the Department of Community Affairs, which is now the Department of Economic Opportunity.
Sweet.
And when I saw her name in the application pool, I did a dance. And we were able to secure, and she brings a lot. She's gonna tell you that I haven't been lying all this time. So she's worked for the state and the county and the city. So I welcome you, Anosh Whitfield. Thank you.
Great to have you.
Okay, good evening. Hopefully this will go fast. All right, what I'm going to present to you is the Araya office. It is a request for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment and a corresponding rezoning. So the issue before the Planning and Zoning Commission is that you will be acting in your capacity as the local planning agency to make a recommendation on the small-scale comp plan amendment and the rezoning. The subject property is at 868 Robertson Road, approximately 600 feet east of the Tolman Boulevard, Windermere Road at Robertson Road roundabout. It's about 1.94 acres, so just under 2, but it is just a portion of a larger parcel that is roughly 10.5 acres. And the proposed use that the applicant wants to do is a medical office. And you guys are probably familiar with this site because this is the aerial surrounding zoning and surrounding future land use, because a couple years back it was approved for the Araya Independent Living Facility, which is here, and the Legacy Lifestyles ALF and Memory Care Facility, which is here. This part that's highlighted in yellow is the subject the portion that's being changed from low-density residential to professional office and services, and from R1A to professional office. Let's see. So just a little bit, access to this site is here off of Robertson. Immediately across from that is the access to George Bailey Park on the south side, so that the alignment is easier for traffic movement. The previous aerial that you saw was, I believe, 2020. I snipped a little piece of the current aerial, so the site is currently undergoing improvements, horizontal improvements for the previously approved ALF and ILF. Water, sewer, emergency services, all will be provided by the city.
Can we ask you to speak up just a hair,
Yes.
please?
I'm sorry. Okay. So water, sewer, solid waste, and emergency services will be provided by the city of Ocoee. The proposed medical office supports the surrounding ALF to give an opportunity for seniors to age in place and for family members or spouses to live in the same area where their significant others or their relatives may need some additional care. So with that, staff supports the changes, and we're recommending that the Planning and Zoning Commission, acting as the LPA, recommend approval to the City Commission for the small-scale comp plan amendment to change the site from low-density residential to professional office, and the corresponding rezoning to go from R1A to professional office as well. And with that, I am available for questions.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? All right, we have two motions on this. I'm gonna open the public hearing for both. Is there anybody that would like to speak? No? Don't everybody get all up at once. We're gonna close the public hearing on both of the amendments. So first will be, the small-scale comprehensive future land use amendment, CPA 2021-003. Do I have a motion on that?
Shouldn't this be reversed? Should the rezoning be done first before?
No. Comp plan,
Oh, wait, yeah, that's right.
You gotta make the amendment to the
comp plan first.
plan and then,
But if you don't pass the zoning, then the other one is gonna be dead.
The rezoning's not possible without the future land use.
Okay,
Future land use always comes first.
so,
I'll make that motion.
there you go. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Do I gotta read it?
That motion was to approve.
Yes, that motion was to recommend approval of this paragraph,
Thank you.
first part.
Perfect. Do you have a second?
A second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Mellon to approve, and a second by Member Williams. Any comments? Please vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Perfect. We're just gonna go ahead and take a vote on the rezoning. You did a great job. So, on the second one, we have, can I have a motion, please, for the rezoning of Araya office property to professional offices and services district RZ 210727?
So recommend approval of RZ 210727 from R1AA to professional offices service district P-S.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Member Williams to approve and a second by Member Forges. Any comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries. Good job. Okay. Item D. This is 113 West Oakland Avenue, Appaloosa LLC. Before we move any further, I believe Member Forges has a conflict and will be,
Correct. So I will not be voting on this item or comment.
he's allowed to comment, but he can't vote, right?
Right, and Mr. Chairman, Chairman Keller, Member Keller will be voting in this.
Member Keller will be our voting member on this. You've already filled the form out?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay, so, small-scale comprehensive plan, future use map amendment, CPA 2021-005, zoning manager Whitfield.
Thank you. So similar to the other one, this is a small-scale comp plan amendment and a rezoning. Same issues, same situation. The site is on 113 West Oakland Avenue, just on the north side of Oakland Avenue, roughly 150 feet west of North Cumberland Avenue. Approximately 0.29 acres. This site is within the city's downtown redevelopment area. The current land use designation of low-density residential would only allow the site to be developed with a single-family home. The proposed change to go to commercial with a floor area ratio of 3.0 would allow the site to be developed with up to 37,000 square feet, based on infrastructure being provided of office, commercial, retail, residential of different types, or a mixture of those uses. So the proposed comp plan amendment and rezoning not only is within the downtown redevelopment area overlay, but also supports the goals and intent of the overlay area.
Okay.
This is an aerial of the site, the surrounding zoning maps, the surrounding future land use, and you'll see that the proposed change is consistent with the surrounding areas since there's commercial to the immediate south. Staff does not anticipate any capacity issues or any adverse impacts resulting from these changes, and with that, we are recommending approval of the small-scale amendment and the corresponding rezoning.
What, do they have a user in mind on this already?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. They haven't attached any type of site plan or anything like that yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm not aware if they've had any conversations with Mike, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay, so we have, there's gonna be 2 on this as well. We're gonna open up to the public. Anybody that wants to speak? Nobody, so we're gonna close the public hearing. Does anybody have any questions for staff on either of these? Okay, so what we're gonna need is a motion first to recommend the approval of the small-scale comprehensive plan future land use map amendment, CPA 2021005.
I'll make that motion, so I don't get to make that very many.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second, okay.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Member Keller and a second by Member Williams. I do have we want certain things to go in that area, right? You know, being that part of the downtown deal, and I really wish we had a user on this or a plan of some sort. And I don't know if I can vote for it without it.
Well, but look at it this way. We're not gonna get a single-family home.
Yep.
We could have had a single-family home. And so it's a way to say, to come in and say, because when we adopt the downtown criteria, one step that we could do, it's tough, is we could try to do a blanket land use and rezoning.
Right.
It's very strict requirements, it's tough, it's a lot of money. I've got a property owner saying, I'm willing to change the land use and rezone this property to commercial, so it stops that single-family home that's gonna be the home, that building, like in the movie Up, right? They're gonna build their new home, they're never gonna sell, and we're gonna have all this nice mixed-use retail next to this single-family home so it's, in a way, it's helping us. It's the first one on the north side, it's protecting the integrity of what Oakland's gonna be.
Isn't there a house like real close to it?
Right next to it,
Right.
one that's been modeled and remodeled, yes. And so this is, not only does staff support it, but I reached out and said, I need this property to not be residential. I need the ability to block, and if you can get me the signature, we'll cover the cost. It's that important to us that this becomes commercial.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a motion and a second to approve. All those does anybody else have any other comments? I'm sorry. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Second was going to be for the rezoning to commercial, RZ 210828. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Great. We have a motion to approve by Member Kennedy and a second by Member Keller. Any comments on that? Same thing, right? Same comment I have, but I agree with you. So if there's no other comments, let's vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Good. It's good, though, you know, we've been waiting for the first one to fall, so it's glad that happened. All right, we got number E. This is gonna be private property rights element. This is a comprehensive plan text amendment to create new property rights element, which is gonna be CPA 2021-004, zoning manager Whitfield.
Thank you. So this is a staff-initiated text amendment, and the reason is to bring the comprehensive plan in compliance with the recently effective House Bill 59. So similar to the future land use map amendments and the rezonings that you guys just took some action on, the Planning and Zoning Commission has the ability to act as the local planning agency by statutes to make changes and amendments to the comprehensive plan, both the future land use and the text. So this one is one that is adding new text to the comp plan. So just a little bit of background on the House bill itself. It was signed into law on June 29th, 2021, and became effective July 1st. It's been codified in Chapter 2021-195 of the laws of Florida, and in Section 163, 3171, parent 6 of the Florida statutes. The legislative intent of the House bill is that local governments recognize the property rights that are constitutionally identified, and requires each local government to adopt this brand-new element into its comp plan.
Keynote required.
So it is required. The new element must be adopted as its own standalone element. It can't be incorporated into one of the existing elements. In terms of timing, the legislation requires that it be adopted in the early of the two dates, either the city's next environment evaluation and appraisal report, the year, or the next comp plan amendment. So the earlier of the two. And also the last thing is, based on the DEO website and my own conversations with the bureau chief at DEO, they are recommending strongly that each local government uses the statements of rights that has been embodied in the legislation.
Typically when the legislature passes laws, it becomes a law and they'll have language. Sometimes they have BMP's, best management practices, or suggested language. And what I've routinely done is I've kind of held off. I didn't rush to adopt. I waited to see what the neighbors are doing, what's going on. If it's going to, if perceived some aspect's going to negatively affect the city, let's see what other people negotiate. We did that with the Wekiva study area. The Wekiva study area had a mandate of 35% open space on a property if it was in the Wekiva study area. That's every property in Ocoee going down just short of the bottom subdivision on McGuire. So every vacant property under that law would have had to set aside 35% hard open space. We watched what some of the other people did, and the state was going to sue us. We did a stipulated settlement, and we negotiated that just 35% of the area identified in the Wekiva of what they want to save, A soils, karst features. So if a property had all of those features on it, then 35%. If 25% of that property had those features, just 25%, that 25% would have had the 35% open space protected on it. And so we've kind of managed that way. This one, the language you'll hear from Anach is it's really loose. It's not really stringent. There's really no way to test to say you're failing this. It does recognize public property owner rights. That's a very important position in the planning field, that the public know what's going on and that they have rights. And so I'm comfortable bringing this forward because it really doesn't come up with a lot of objectives that are going to force the city to now do 10,000-foot notices or advertise in the Wall Street Journal, or it doesn't add anything new. We just recognize in our comprehensive plan that property owners have rights. If they have a development agreement, we abide by those development agreements. That's what the law is saying. You got to abide by the development agreements. We've always done that. We'll continue to do that. And so we've got some projects that are changing land use, and we have to create this new element in order to adopt those land use amendments. So I'm bringing it forward with this in mind. So thank you.
Great.
Would this be to kind of accept or adopt like the Harris Act or the Harris Law? I think
I think that's just regular.
because I mean, I know in that one it has to do with like evaluation and appraisal, and I didn't see that listed in here.
A
with,
lot
like,
of this
evaluation.
tracks constitutional language that we have today, all the way down to privacy in number 3.
I
Not
think-
seeing a lot of new requirements here.
So I don't think this is my thought. I don't think this is gonna be a legislative battle. I think it's gonna be more of a court battle, case law battle between people bringing well, I'm not gonna say they're frivolous. I'm just gonna say they're gonna bring challenges under this. So so this is really interesting. It's gonna be interesting to watch
I think
how this is gonna be used.
the background of this was probably a lot more strict. And if the way the legislature has worked the past couple of years is, for instance, it just slipped my mind. Small-scale land use amendments. The legislature passed a law that was Governor DeSantis signed into law. Small-scale land use amendments used to be 10 acres or just under 10 acres. They are now, the maximum size for a small-scale land use amendment is 50 acres. We used to not be able to adopt more than 60 acres of small-scale land use amendments a year. Now, the one minimum is 50. So this is tracked just like that. It's very loose language. It's made its way through because it's important that the public know they have property rights, but there's really no teeth to it. There's no way to violate it with what we're doing, other than if you had a development agreement on your property and we just tore it up and said, ha, ha, ha. You have to come in and amend that development agreement through a public process. You have rights, we still will keep those same processes in.
Cool. All right.
So this is an exercise that's really cool for you guys, because you haven't really facilitated this text side.
Yeah.
So when we bring comprehensive plan language, it's text, good questions, it's not site plan development related. It's going to be how the city grows. This just happens to be a really easy, simple one in a sense. The next one I bring you will be updating the capital improvements plan, the list of projects that's adopted in our budget in the next couple of meetings. We have to, by reference, put that in our capital improvement element. It's not really text, it's more of a perfunctory, but this is the cool stuff you get into with the comprehensive plan as the land planning agency.
Yeah, for sure.
This is simple. I read this 4 times. It's not simple.
This doesn't affect home rule or take anything away from us or anything like that, right?
No, I think to Member Williams' point, a lot of this that we see here is common law rights, meaning they've been litigated, and they're now just being an effort, I think, from our legislature to codify those rights.
Cool.
Okay.
You need to read anything, or you good?
No, I was just gonna point to, number 2, which basically means that they get to use property owners get to use, maintain, develop their properties or improve their properties for their own personal use, et cetera, but they still would be subject to state law and local ordinances.
And HOAs.
Great.
I think HOA should have been on there first.
Everybody has.
Yeah.
So, the summaries here are like the commissioner said, you've probably read it 5 times now in this conversation. But the staff report makes reference to the attachment, which is the draft ordinance, and the draft ordinance is in strike-through underlined format. So all underlined text is new language. And that essentially is coming directly from the statutes. And I included a couple of definitions that was referenced in this new legislation that is from existing language.
So in future comp plan initiatives, existing text that we're changing, we will strike through. Anything new is always underlined.
Yep.
That's how you'll differentiate on what's going on.
Okay.
And with that, staff recommends that we utilize the statement of rights language in the statutes, and that the Planning and Zoning Commission, acting again as the LPA, recommend approval of the property rights element into the city's comprehensive plan.
Cool. Great. Does anybody have any questions about that? We're gonna open it up to the public still? Okay. We're gonna close the public comments. We're gonna need one motion for this. I need a motion to recommend approval of the comprehensive plan amendment to create new property rights element CPA 2021-004.
I'll make that motion as a local planning agency, recommend approval of the comprehensive plan text amendment, property rights element, CPA 2021-004.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Vice Chairman Mellon, and a second by Member Williams. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries.
So for instance, there was a law passed that we had to create a green element. What was it called? Remember we had to do the green, what was that?
Yes, HGC, gases.
Yes, we had to adopt this element all on green development. And the next year rescinded it. So people were hiring consultants and coming up with all this good element on how to be green, and then it was struck, like, that's not required. So we typically don't rush into things. So.
Cool. Hot Sunny's coming.
Any questions? They're digging.
At this point, I just gotta ask you.
They're digging holes there. So. Any other questions? Coming up, we've got budget public hearings with the city tomorrow night and the following Wednesday night. We have Ocoee Village Center. We had a pre-construction meeting for the groundbreaking of the townhome portion of Ocoee Village Center. You see a lot of work going up along Clarkona, Ocoee, and North Lakewood. They've put a lift station in place. We have on Clark Road, there's 2 townhome developments that are finishing up, and you'll see the town. I think one of them has a model going up, and the north side's continuing to boom. We have on State Road 50, a couple of old projects have come through and revised their plans for final approval to break ground. So we have a lot of good, neat things going on. You'll see, you may have read, we are taking a step back with respect to self-storage facilities. We did an initiative a couple of years ago to look at them, and we looked at the opportunity for self-storage in our overlay districts, which primarily has C3 in the I-1, especially on 50, that you could do self-storage if it was no more than 35% of a mixed-use development and put in the back. For instance, there's a self-storage facility going off of Good Homes Road on the south side of State Road 50 behind the McDonald's, and the first floor is retail up front with some self-storage behind it, then 2 more floors of self-storage, and then the 4th floor is half of it is a home office for a self-storage company with some more units. So it's mixed use. It has office and retail. That's what we kind of afforded. We're really getting with our C3 and I-1 properties that are vacant in the city that are not in an overlay. I've been getting a lot of pressure, a lot of requests to accept self-storage in pre-apps, and we just want to take a look at, do these things have a carrying capacity? We have 11 self-storage units, facilities in the city, and on State Road 50, we have 5 in close proximity to each other. Is there a carrying capacity based off population? What's the trends? What can we look at so I can give a favorable recommendation and tell you that this site's going to develop and it's going to be a big building and pay some pretty good taxes, but it's going to employ 2 people, and people from around are going to bring their junk in there and leave. So, but no one wants to be located next to them because they don't generate trips. So to better that, we're doing this moratorium to try to get a better hand and see what we need to do with regards to self-storage.
Good.
Good.
Anybody else have any other questions for Mike or staff?
I know you're talking about, that road, that little,
Little alleyway?
yeah, that little easement, that little right-of-way road next to that last project, right across from, Windermere Pools. Those big oil tanks sitting there.
Yes.
What's up with those? I mean,
All that property's in a trust, and there's only, from what I understand, 1 surviving member in that trust, and they're not, they're able to live by themselves, but that's about there. They've got there's some things there maybe. So the trust is kind of in disarray, I would say. And so nothing's going to happen with that until they can figure out what's going on with the trust. So.
Sweet. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.